What's up, y'all? Natalie, the old school otaku here, and well, it's been a couple of days since I went under the knife, and I figured now is probably as good a time as any to really start talking about the process. Like I said, I was going to was planning on doing some vlogging about my experience with having bottom surgery. So first off, let's talk about what you know this actually is. So, the actual name of the surgery is peritoneal pull through partial penile inversion vaginoplasty. And my care team is Henry Ford Hospital. The doctor, the specific surgeon that I'm seeing is Dr. Nabal Shakir, and the plastic surgeon, because he's the urologist that does about half of the procedure, and then the other half of the procedure is the cosmetic piece, and that's handled by Dr. Tepper, who's doing my work. And yeah, so I came in on Thursday. It is now Saturday morning. Um, Thursday the 8th? Yeah, Thursday, June 8th was, the day I had my surgery. And it was a most of the day kind of affair. It was, I think, technically the overall surgery took about 4 to 6 ish hours. They say that's about average, actually. For me, things seemed to go very smoothly. There weren't any real complications, no issues that we ran into, so that was awesome. They wheeled me back in, put me to sleep, and I woke up in the recovery room all of a sudden everything's said and done. So yeah, it's been an experience. I've been on pain medications
Hi, it's me again. Just checking your phone.
and sorry about that. I'm in the hospital right now, so interruptions are pretty normal. They've got me hooked up to a couple of drains to drain out fluid and whatnot, as well as a catheter to drain out more fluid. And yeah, that's kind of been the name of the game. I kind of forgot what all I was going on about, but yeah. So the overall surgery, like I can't really speak too much about a lot of the specifics. I can't go into too many gory details, at least not here on YouTube. Um, I'm not going to really be able to show y'all a lot of the photos and things of what's going on, but overall, it did seem to be a fairly simple procedure. It's very standard for me. In fact, the doctor's done tons of these at this point, so it's not like this is anything new for the team, and it all went very smoothly. I was happy. I had friends and family here. I had one of my partners um, who lives with me. My nesting partner was with me, and then after I got back up here to the room um, to rest and whatnot, one of my other partners and the rest of the local polycule came to visit and say hi and hope to see some of them, possibly today even. So it's been a nice experience overall, and I have nothing but praises to sing for my surgical team. The team here is awesome. They've been great. I've not had really much in the way of issues with misgendering or things like that, which is kind of interesting how I'd have still a little bit of that considering, kind of what I'm in here for. Gender confirmation type surgeries that people would still, oddly enough, have issues with my pronouns considering I've my legal pronouns have been she, her for a couple of years now, so I'm not exactly sure what all some of those problems are, but it's my right to complain, and so that's something that does happen from time to time. But yeah, I mean, by this point, I was on an IV and other things, and they've kind of taken me off most of the IVs. I'm mostly getting my fluids through drinking water and whatnot. And switching over to other types of pain medications, narcotics, and whatnot to keep the pain at bay. I was having a shot that I had full control over, and now I'm on. I think it's Oxy. I think um, for the pain, and yeah, things are fairly well managed at this point. I did the doctor yesterday came to visit, and he actually had photos. He was able to show me. In fact, while I was under, he had actually spoken with Lily, who was here the day of as my primary point of contact, and he showed her picture of the new vagina, and I thought she was very lucky. She got to see my vagina before I did. Finally, I did get to see it, and she is angry. She is very angry, which is expected. You know, swollen, new, all of that stuff. So she's going to be angry for a while. But eventually things will settle down and it'll look nice. It'll be much better, and I can't wait to see how she turns out and kind of move on from there. It's it's been an experience for me because kind of I've been dreaming about this um, since I was a young teenager when I first learned that this type of surgery existed, that this could happen. I'd been basically dreaming about it, but always thinking that it was never going to happen. And then finally, when it came time for me to actually transition and go through everything, it always seemed like it was far off in the distance. Like I had to lose so much weight in order to be able to do it, and all these other things. And it's one thing about the surgical team here is weight is not necessarily that big of a deal for them. They have their limits of what they prefer to work on, and most of that's due to limiting complications and the potential for complications. The higher your BMI is, the more medical documentation there exists for the potential for complications because of how the surgery actually happens. And so a lot of those things are things I can talk about a little further, but I really want to now just kind of go over some of the pre-work, some of the pre-stuff I was going through because I had a chance to really talk about any of that yet. So yeah, leading up to the surgery, basically, I had an orchiectomy back in October of last year, and now I have my vaginoplasty. The orchiectomy does not have to happen at a different time. It can actually happen as part of the vaginoplasty procedure. It's actually listed as one of the potential procedures that could be part of it. In fact, for my work, it was like a total of 12 procedures, and that included the orchiectomy, which already had happened. So in the end, there was only 11 procedures, and it was kind of half and half between plastic surgery and the urology team. The urologist only had five, though, of the total 12 because the orchiectomy had already happened. He only had five different procedures, and then the plastic surgery team had six in order to get everything going. And yeah, they kind of button everything up and they turn the scrotum into the labia and all of that, and the penis becomes the clitoris, um, and they create a clitoral hood and all this other stuff to make the whole thing work. And of course, obviously, they put you still can't urinate because obviously that needs to happen. They've got a catheter up there for me right now, so I can. So all of that gets moved around and repositioned, and of course there's the vaginal canal. And the vaginal canal they actually create by using part of the shaft. It gets used for that because you've got some of the nerves and stuff, so you can still have pleasure. But then they form a lot of that using this mucous membrane called the peritoneal flap, and they actually pull that from around the stomach. It actually is what helps hold your organs in place, and it's a very stretchy material. It has a bit of a mucous membrane, so it does naturally uh, lubricate. There's still going to be need for if I do happen to do sexual intercourse. There's going to be probably will want a need for lubrication on top, but it won't be quite as much. It is more self-cleaning. So there's a lot of things about this procedure that I had, which is a very fairly new procedure, um, kind of bleeding edge, that some of the other ones don't have. So there's complications and other issues that the traditional penile inversion has that I don't have to worry about, which is definitely nice for me, all in all. And I am happy I was able to have this procedure in the end because it's what I wanted. Um, but yeah, I guess leading up to everything, essentially in this area um, uh, for the hospital and everything, I had to have two notes from two separate therapists, mental health professionals. So I had my main therapist who wrote up a letter of support, and then there was another one that I gone to see another one specifically for writing up the letter, wrote up a letter of support as well. And then my primary care physician, who happens to be the same person that gives me my HRT, my hormones, wrote up a letter of support as well. And so all of those get submitted to the hospital, then submit with documentation to insurance to make sure insurance actually covers all of this. And thankfully, my insurance is covering everything. Well, about as everything as insurance does cover. So there is a bit of that. So thankfully, a good portion of this will get covered. But there's other expenses and issues I have to worry about too. Um, and so all of this is kind of, culminated into being able to have the surgery. For an orchiectomy, they also had similar requirements as well. So I had letters for the orchiectomy, I had letters for the vaginoplasty, and I also have letters in for breast augmentation, but that's not happening till October of this year. But for now, I've had my bottom surgery. All the work's done there for now. And yeah, so, they get all of that through. They make sure that, everything's set and good to go with insurance. And then they put me to scheduling. And scheduling, schedules out. And originally they had scheduled this surgery in October of this year. It was supposed to be October 12th. And it just so happened that about 3 weeks ago, I got a phone call saying, hey, there was a cancellation on June 8th, and you were at the top of the list to move forward. So I ended up getting lucky and got pushed forward to June 8th for my surgery. I was not originally planning on this happening so soon. It's definitely was not fully prepared for it, but we made it work. My electrolysis was able to help finish the rest of my hair removal, and what hair removal we couldn't get done, they were able to finish off in the surgical room doing what they call follicle scraping uh, in order to finish off the rest of the hair removal because you obviously don't want hair growing, down there inside. That's, one, not fun, but also not sanitary. So that's part of why the hair removal is required as part of the surgery. And so that's something that does have to happen beforehand, and it takes about a year, sometimes a little bit longer, to finish getting rid of all the hair, depending on how hairy you happen to be. I'm thankfully not very hairy, so it didn't take too much. But I've been basically working on it for a little over a year now to get rid of all of that hair. And because of the type of hair I have and what's available with insurance, because some insurances they'll cover laser hair removal, others will only cover electrolysis. And electrolysis is technically, from what I've been told, and this might not be fully true, but what I've been told, electrolysis is the only way that is considered fully permanent, whereas hair removal via laser hair removal is not fully permanent. That hair can and sometimes does grow back. Something I have noticed actually in my face. I had laser done to my face, and some black hairs, some darker hairs are starting to come back from time to time. Thankfully, I've just got my electrolysis, so she's been helping me take care of a lot of my facial hair as well. Now that I don't have to worry about getting rid of the hair down in for pre-op, as it were. So a lot of the preparation that goes into all of this is getting the hair removal getting your letters in place. And the letters do have to be submitted within a year of you actually receiving your surgery. So that is something to note. The letters should happen relatively all around the same time and when you're planning everything, but it all gets submitted. The hospital kind of takes care of pretty much everything. And then there's really just a couple of follow up uh, not procedures, follow up meetings and consultations with the different doctors. So the very first consultation that I had was actually a video consultation, a video visit with Dr. Shakir, the urologist, who kind of went over a lot of the details for both vaginoplasty as well as the orchiectomy. We did go ahead with the orchiectomy last year rather than pushing forward with vaginoplasty right away. So I wasn't sure if my hair removal was going to be done in time. So we went through and did all of that. And then I had a in-person visit with the plastic surgeon, with Dr. Tepper, and she took a look down there. They do some measurements and whatnot, talk about all of the details regarding what she's going to do, how it's going to look, and things like that. So we kind of have a good idea. And thankfully, she's actually the same surgeon I'll be going to for the breast augmentation. So we had another meeting regarding that because I am trying to push forward with that because as of this year, my insurance is actually allowing facial feminization surgery as well as breast augmentation are considered to be considered in network, fully covered, medically necessary, assuming they're substantiated by doctor's notes. So that's one of the reasons why you have those doctor's letters of support. So went through all of that process to see all of those different things, and then it became time for the procedure. So 3 weeks ago, I get the phone call, "Hey, do you want this date?" And I'm like, "Okay, sure, let's do it." If everything works out, then let's go ahead and do this date as planned. And then things just started coming at me fast and hard. Just I was like, okay, now I needed to have scheduled appointments to go talk to. I had to have another follow-up visit, a final follow-up visit with my plastic surgeon to go over the details of what all is going to happen, chatting with the other surgical teams, a couple of consultations just to go over final details, any other questions that I had, things like that, to make sure everything's good to go and I'm ready. They scheduled me for pelvic floor therapy. I actually have a full month course, once a week course, 3 weeks from now that I start that. And then I had an initial consultation last week with the pelvic floor therapist. And pelvic floor therapy is very, very, very important with all of this because they're doing all of this work down there, and your pelvic floor muscles really control a lot of what you're doing down there. It helps control your ability to urinate, your ability to go number two, and a whole lot of other things. And so it was interesting to sit there with the therapist and actually, I'd never really thought about those muscles before, but obviously I've used them. I just never really thought and concentrated on them before. And so it was kind of neat to figure out what exercises and breathing things that I can do in order to really work those muscles out and get a good understanding of all of those. So it was very beneficial. And of course, while in there, we talked about the need to dilate and other things that will be things that'll be happening for me in the future, as well as other exercises I can do while I'm here in the hospital before dilation, and then other exercises I can do after I get out of the hospital in order to help me with the dilation and different positions that I can get into for it and all of that. So it was really beneficial. It was really great. So if you happen to want to go for one of these for this surgery, I would definitely recommend seeking out pelvic floor therapy if your surgical team does not already recommend that you do that. A lot of them are now, and my doctor definitely does, so that's something to do. And then the other thing that was kind of new and interesting for me is we actually had they had put in what they call a nerve block down for those pelvic floor nerves. There's actually two nerves that kind of go down into the butt, really, that kind of control a lot of the pain and whatnot. And something that they've been doing here is they've been doing these nerve blocks to kind of help with all of the potential pain management that I have after the fact, and that's supposed to actually help me use less overall narcotics and other pain medication. So I went ahead and did that. It was a nice outpatient procedure, lasted about 20 minutes, where they kind of swab you down, and they basically inject the medicine into a specific spot in order to numb and do the nerve block of those nerves. So that was something that had taken place. Um, I think we did that last Thursday is when that was put in place. It was put in place a week before my surgery. Um, and so that was kind of fun and new, something I'd never actually heard of before. And it was really neat to go in and do that procedure. So it's something that you may want to look out for in case your team ends up doing something like that. I really hope that that does actually help with my ability to heal quicker and allow me to not have to use as many narcotics because obviously, you know, narcotics are nice, but they can be addicting, obviously. And I don't want to, end up a drug addict as far as that is concerned. Lovely hospital water, lovely hospital water. And I guess the other thing that I wasn't aware of that I needed to do is a little bit of bowel prep. Thankfully, I didn't have to do the full, like if you're at a colonoscopy or something like that, where you have to, drink that gallon of like horrible tasting liquid and all this other stuff to try and flush you out. Instead, all it was is basically I went out and needed to get a small bottle of Miralax, and I basically did 3 doses of Miralax, one because my surgery is on Thursday. I had 1 dose at night, Tuesday night, and then a dose in the morning, Wednesday morning, and a dose Wednesday evening. And the dose Wednesday evening was supposed to happen right before bed, around the same time that I had my last bit of fluids and whatnot that I intook. And so they had me drink a full sugared Gatorade. I don't typically drink full sugar Gatorade. I drink zero sugar Gatorade if I'm drinking Gatorade to up my electrolytes. And so I did the full sugar Gatorade and mixed that in with the Miralax and whatnot, and drank that right before midnight. So my surgery was at 7:45. I had to arrive here at 5:45 a.m. For for my surgery, and basically the rules were I wasn't allowed to eat after 9:30 that night. Wednesday night was the last I could eat, and so we actually had a nice big carb diet. I had my Canadian noodles that I enjoy so much from Canada. We had that for dinner on Wednesday night, and then I drank the Gatorade in the evening, and I ended up not doing any sleeping that night. I knew I probably wasn't going to sleep, but in the end, I ended up using that time to help get the house ready for my eventual return home and whatnot. So that worked out really nice. Able to have the TV and everything set up, and my bed is all set up and good to go. I've got clothes ready for me to very easily get to and grab, so you don't have to do a lot of going up and down stairs and things like that. So it's been fun. So thankfully, they obviously you shouldn't be driving yourself to the procedure. You should have somebody with you. Here at this hospital, they actually allowed 2 visitors on the day. One was allowed to come back to pre-op after they got me all situated, able to come back and say hi to me. That was also the one who would get all the information from the doctors and able to come back to me during recovery. And then after recovery, once they wheeled me back up to the room, I was able to have another one, second person, able to come in. And what ended up happening is we actually had 3 people here. I had Lily, my nesting partner, and then I had Sam, my one of my other partners, and her nesting partner, Alyssa, here. And that was fun. It was great. It was nice having friends to hang out with and chat with that first night before they ended up going home, and I was left here home alone. Well, not home alone, but in the hospital alone to get not a whole ton of sleep. I mean, I did sleep. I got some rest, but obviously they don't really let you get a full night's sleep in the hospital because they're constantly checking your vitals and coming in and giving you medication and things throughout the night. So it's always a lot of interruptions every night, and that's kind of the way it's been. But yeah, so I've got more to talk about, and I will be talking about more as I go on. But I just wanted to kind of give you all a heads up about what all's happened. I've had my surgery, so I am now a proud vagina owner, um, and I look forward to being able to see her when everything's said and done. But yeah, if you have any questions, anything you want to find out about, I am an open book. I'm more than willing to answer questions, especially if you are thinking about potentially getting this surgery yourself. Feel free to hit me up in the comments section below here on YouTube, or if you so desire, you can hit me up on Twitter, on Facebook, Tumblr, all of those places. I am more active on my personal Twitter than I am on the old school Otaku Twitter. However, my personal Twitter is a lot more NSFW, so just make note of that. If you are following me there, that is something to keep watch of. But either way, though, um, hopefully this hasn't been too boring. I can kind of give you a bit of information about what all's happening here, but also, yeah, I hope this has been enlightening to you in some way, shape, or form, and I hope this will continue to be enlightening to you as I continue to vlog throughout the days and whatnot. As I go through the process of healing here in the hospital and then healing back at home in order to then transition to, well, living my life normally, just with my reconfigured body parts. But yeah, so I am out of work now. My job is still there. It'll be there waiting for me when I get back to work, but I will probably be out of work here for at least 4 weeks, if not closer to 2 months. Right now, they're not really expecting me back till August at this point. And thankfully, I do have disability insurance and other insurances to kind of help with things, but that doesn't cover everything, unfortunately. And of course, the insurance will cover a good portion of the surgery, but there's going to be, co-pays and other things that are unforeseen that are going to come up as well. And so I do have a GoFundMe going. The link will be in the description below. And if you are feel so inclined to donate, I would appreciate that because I'm trying not to be a burden on my nesting partner and the rest of my partners. Financially, I mean, I'm going to be a bit of a physical burden on them because they're going to need to help me recover. But I'm trying not to be as much of a financial burden on them because, after all, we do have our house together, and I got to keep paying the rent and the bills, unfortunately, and still have to buy food, groceries, all of that fun stuff. So any help that can be provided would be awesome, even if it's just signal boosting. Just sharing it out to social media, that would be great too. There's also another potential availability. I do have a special package that you can get through my Ko-fi store of well, some material that if you're 18 and over, you can enjoy if you so desire. But yeah, all of that stuff's available if you so desire. But I know I'm rambling. We're getting close to 30 minutes of me chatting, so let's go ahead and close this down. Once again, this is Natalie, the old school otaku, coming to you from the Henry Ford Hospital here in Detroit, Michigan, and I am recovering from my bottom surgery, my vaginoplasty, and I look forward to chatting with y'all again soon. But this is Natalie signing off.